Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm here to review another game for you. The game I'm reviewing today is called Elemancers. And Elemancers is a two-player game of conflict. You set up a game board, and other than 3 set spots, everything else is randomly placed. Each player will summon creatures, heroes, Elemancers, and they are attempting either to destroy their opponent through combat, or they are attempting to summon their artifact, either good or evil artifact, depending on which side you are, and delivering that to this temple, the Temple of Fate that resides in the middle of the board. There's a lot more to that, of course, and I'll show that to you when I actually show you how to play the game. But when I first saw the game, I first saw a picture of it, it immediately reminded me of the game Archon, the classic old computer game of both of good and evil side, just because when you see the board, you'll see there's all these little phases of the moon and stuff, and I remember in Archon there was like this waxing and waning of power, depending on which side was it. And that kind of is with the game, depending on the locations that the battles take place. You know, either good, good or evil phases of the moon, and the monsters that are on those spots, so the summoned creatures, they will have more power or less power, depending upon that. And so there's that cool little area aspect to the game, and all kinds of neat things about like that. And also one of the things too is it's one of those, there are dice in the game, but the dice are rolled to determine your resources for your turn and what you can summon, what you have the ability to do. But they aren't used in combat. Combat is very deterministic, but there's a wonderful little bluffing aspect to combat that is really interesting and I enjoy. So, but I'll explain all that when I show you how to play the game here, and then we'll come back where I am right now, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of the game, and then somewhere along the way, perhaps you'll figure out whether you think this is a good game for you. Alright, this is how to play Elemancers. This is the game board for Elemancers, and I've set it up already, but this is set up randomly, other than the 2 starting locations. You can see this like new moon over here is the symbol of like the dark player, the evil player, if you will. And just so you can get a closer glimpse of these. Now this is a prototype, obviously, and so as far as what the game will look like once it gets published might be completely different. I don't think they'll be made out of coasters, which is actually really, really cool that the creator made these. But anyway, so you can see New Moon has a little name of it. Oh, I should probably give you the one that you can read. The Eye of Hecatros. And so you just go ahead, and that's like the good, or evil, I mean, and then like the good side is this sun here, and it says Starlight Ridge on it, you know. And so those go in the corners, and then in the middle here we have the Temple of Fate. The Temple of Fate is kind of like a neutral ground, if you will, as you can tell, because the moon is like so. And you can probably guess just by looking at it, when there's more dark on these spots, that's more of an evil inclined location, and there's more like of the white that is a more good aligned, if you will. Each player begins the game with no creatures on the board or anything like that. You randomly determine who goes first, as you do with any game. Each person will get a saga card to begin with. Now, saga cards are basically a quest, if you will. And the quest will tell you something to do. And if there's like a cross things, then that it means it's a battle. And if it is a symbol that looks like this, it means you need to control something. So like this actually references 2 spots. So control the Shadowlands in Zanford. And so you look at the board and you can probably guess, like here is Shadowlands, and Zanford, if I remember correctly, is right there. Now, you can see that there's also some flavor text down there that can just kind of tell you a little bit behind what have you. It doesn't really affect the game, but that is what one of those cards work. Now, some of these are like Battle of Bulwark. And the Bulwark is a type of creature, and I'll show that to you in just a little bit here. But then there's a little background there, but then it's a battle. So once you battle it, you don't have to beat it, you just have to battle it, then you would satisfy a saga. And when you satisfy a saga, then you get to draw either, you can see over there, the blue ones for the evil side. But you can see there's these lore cards, and once that's how you draw one randomly, and you hope you get one that, like, this is okay. This is good because this is a dragon one. You can tell by the wings. And if you can get all 3 of your lore cards for a dragon, you can summon your dragon, which is this creature right here. Obviously very powerful. You can see big thing, and I'll explain more about creatures a little bit, but you get to summon your dragon and then have that extra powerful thing. There's also what's called a artifact lore card. Has this, and if you get all 3 of those, you get to summon an artifact, which is just, you know, this little card here. And the thing about the artifact is that it's twofold. If you can get it delivered to the Temple of Fate, you win the game. However, if it ever falls into the enemy's hands, you automatically lose. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. And finally, there's a third type of lore card that unfortunately tells a cool little story, but it doesn't give you anything. So there's 9 lore cards, and so you have to, you know, satisfy those sagas, and hopefully you can get a set that you can then use and turn in on your turn. Now then, after you determine whose turn it is to start, whoever you're going to do that. Oh, and I should mention that there's like there's a deck of cards, creature cards that you have access to. They're face down, so nobody can know what they are. And obviously, like, these have the sun, and you can see over there the creature cards have the evil moon thing on it. And then creature like ability cards, there are 3 cards of the ability deck that you start with automatically. And the cards that you start with automatically are, let me show these to you real quick. These are the morph cards. You can tell by, like, this little, like, butterfly there. Butterfly morphs, obviously. And so these cards get to be played either when you deploy a creature or when you're getting ready to do battle. And when you have these symbols, this little symbol down the bottom. And what that does is it means that if you play this, you can morph the creature that you summon into another creature as long as it hasn't been killed off. And to do that, just really quickly, I'm going to show this to you. You can see this is the light side, this is the evil side as far as the 2 different sides of the game. But it actually lists off each of your creatures that you can summon, right? And then you can notice that it actually lists off the hexagons that are on there. Now, these are actually like the relative power of the creatures. So like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And so, like, if you had, say, like this morph card, you can see the color down there, what you do then is that you have to basically, a creature has to have, like, to morph, it has to have exactly the same as the one that has, like, you know, they have to copy. So, like, this one could morph into one that has, you know, it's alone. So, like, you see the pink and morphs into the pink. But notice there's no double pink. So what this does is either you add this to the creature or you remove it. So in this case, with this one, if you removed it, he would morph into a Beastmancer. So the Werepanther could morph into a Beastmancer, or the Werepanther, or Lycan, if you added pink to it. Actually, I apologize, can't really morph into anything with that combination. But in this combination, a Perfect or a Mooncast could morph into a Draylite. So you can see how that works. And so the option that I was showing you, that if you wanted to morph your Werepanther or Lycan into a Perfect or a Mooncast, you would have to have that morph card, because it would add that to it. So, the morph cards are pretty cool, obviously, because then it allows you, if there's a certain creature or an ability that you want to have out there that matches well with your ability cards, then you have the option of changing it up. So, on your turn, one of the first things that you'll do is you'll take these 3 dice, and you'll notice the 3 dice match up with the 3 different color of stones, and you roll them. And so then you see what you get. So you got 2 green, 5 black, 4 white. And so if you were playing the good side, you would take 4 of these, like so, and place those in front of you. Now, your opponent would actually then get 5, like so, and then you would get 2 of these dragon stones. Now, the thing is, you can't save these from turn to turn. You need to use them up if at all possible. So that's one of those things where it's like you couldn't just say, okay, I'm only going to use 2 of these, and I'll show you how you use them or what have you in just a few moments. But you couldn't just like, you know, save them up and I'm going to use them next turn, because you have to turn them back into the pool after the fact. So Dragon Fate, which is this green color, when you're after you roll your power, you can use it to for 2 of them. You can gain an additional ability card from your deck. You just have to draw it randomly, so you could spend that and take it randomly. You automatically get one on your turn anyway. You get one for free, so you just take one, add it. But if you wanted to spend those 2, you could just spend the 2 and then get another one if you wanted to. If you had 3, you can get a random Saga card, because you each start with 1. I'll just throw one over there. Throw one over here. But if you wanted another one and you got 3, you could just get a random Saga card to do so, which is always good because, like I said, you want to get those lore cards. You can get those special abilities, the dragon or the artifact. Or, for 4 of them, you can revive certain creatures that can actually be revived. Certain creatures... some creatures, like, once they're killed, they're dead. They're gone. You can't ever get them back. But some creatures have the ability, like, that are immortal, or that are enigma creatures, can be revived for 4. And so you don't actually discard them completely. And there's even another type of creature called a bulwark type. And I should show you this, actually. You can see that on the creature cards, it actually lists off differently. It's like a bulwark. If it loses a battle, it's not removed, and it may satisfy, you know, it tells you what it can satisfy, morph, may not satisfy other types of ability cards, things like that. And it has, this is a really, really great reference sheet that when I played this with a lot of my reviewer friends, we were referencing this quite a bit because it's actually really well done. So anyway, so after that is done, then you move into, after you've done your power phase, and during your power phase is when you would turn in a set of lore cards. If you were able to gain a set of lore cards, that's when you turn those in. But after you're done with the power phase, you will then move on to, like, your summoning and moving of creatures. And then if you run into creatures that are close to each other, then you can do battle if you so desire. Now, so the game, just real briefly, the game is all about controlling different areas to satisfy Saga cards or to put your creatures into positions where they're going to do very well. Now, creatures themselves, I'm going to just draw one here. Like, let's see, here we have this Archon. And so it has these abilities over there. You know, it shows you what level the creature is. This is level 3 creature. It has those 2 orange and a pink. And it has this type. And so one of the things you can do, I mean, this is known as a banisher type of creature. But you can go ahead and look. You can see, you know, if it's a battle with a bulwark, you can remove that creature from the game. So it's one of those things where there's always something, usually, as far as strategy and tactics go, that you can. So if somebody had moved a bulwark creature into a position of power, you'd then search through your deck, find this Archon, and summon it. Now, the interesting thing over here, you can see that there's these 3 symbols. Now, obviously those symbols match up with the colors that are on that particular location. What you'll do during combat is that you will actually be able to use different ability cards to gain bonuses if this creature happens to be on, like, the right spot on the board, if you will. Depending on the creature, however, they will be able to, certain things won't be able to satisfy ones. Now, this one could morph. It has the ability to morph, but it doesn't have the ability to, like, say, have armor and weapons being placed on it through an ability card. Let me just show you an ability card that would show you, like, an armor or weapon. Like here. Like, here we have, like, serpentine armor. That's a nice little photo there. But anyway, so you have serpentine armor, and, like, it would affect that. So, like, what we have, see, it's got a little shield telling you that this is an actual armor. And what that is that you need to play this on a warrior type of creature that gains bonuses from satisfied weapon and armor abilities in battle. So, let me just show you a creature, then, that would satisfy this. I'll find one. And now, when you summon creatures, you're not summoning them, like, at random. You actually get to pick and choose when you summon. So, like, here's this Werepanther. And you can see it is a warrior type. That's what that stands for. And so it can equip. So if you, during combat, notice how it matches up. If you played this on top of it, it would gain +1 because of the fact that it has now. So you go from a level 2 to a level 3 creature, like so. And then there are other ability cards that are magic based. Like, let's see here. Here we go. So here we have this one. You can see up there in the top, it is an invocation. Not magic, I'm sorry. It's invocation. There are magic as well. It's got a wand. But this, it's +1 if your creature shares an element with the card, and it's +1 if this card shares an element with the location that your creature is located. So, if you had, now you have to actually play this on a creature that actually can be affected by magic. So, like Elemancers creatures can do that. Let me find an Elemancer creature. That, hence the name of the game, Elemancer, if you will. Let me find one here. There we go. So, and even perfect, actually. So, here's a Flamemancer. And so, if this was, you notice up here in the top, there you have the little wand there. And that means that this invocation can be placed on it, like so. So, here we have, it would add +1 because it matches up, obviously. And if this creature happened to be on this location, like so, and you put this ability on it when it was getting ready to fight, you would have +1 for being on the spot, the Scorching Wastes, +1 for it being the creature that it was, and +1 for having this ability. Now, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but I just wanted to show you that so you understood how that actually works. So, on your turn, what you'll do is you'll take a creature. Let's just like take this Flamemancer, and you go ahead and you place it. All creatures are face down, so you can't see them until they're actually encountered, or you do something to give them away. Now, when you place them, you have the ability, if you wish, to spend because it costs 2 of your power to go ahead, and you could morph the creature as well. If you wanted to, take that particular creature, that Flamemancer, and let's say you had, where's my morph card that I'm looking for? Well, if you had the orange morph card, yeah, here we go. It's like the living flame, like so. You could take the Flamemancer, like so, and you could morph it into a fire elemental. Now, when you do that, though, that reveals the creature. You have to actually show what it is. But you can do that immediately when you put it down to make it more powerful, if you so desire. And then you can move the creature. And so, non-flying creatures can move 2 spaces orthogonally. So, vertically and horizontally. So you could go like 1, 2 and get it into the Scorching Wastes. Now it should be noted that nobody can actually enter the Temple of Fate unless you're a hero or a dragon. So that's that situation you have. So, and that would pretty much be your turn. But you can never, and 2 creatures can never share the same location. So, and then the other person would go and they would be doing something, and they'd place a creature and maybe move and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to go through each thing back and forth. I'm going to touch on combat here very briefly because I kind of told you a little bit about that. But I just want to make sure you understood how that works. Now, there's one other thing about creatures is that some of them can fly. Obviously, dragons can fly and what have you. And creatures that can fly, you actually have to, they can move up to 3, and they can move diagonally. If they go over another creature, you have to reveal what they are because of the fact that they're passing over another creature. And they obviously can see them. If they move diagonally, you have to reveal them. That's basically so you can't cheat and say, oh yeah, this is a flying creature, and then move it. So you move it diagonally, you have to actually flip it over. And if it moves 3 spaces, you have to flip it over as well. So like, here's like a chimera, that can fly. And so like if you place this and you went 1, 2, 3, you'd have to reveal that it was a chimera. Now, keeping a creature secret is actually very important because of the fact that it's kind of a bluffing game. Because I don't want a tough creature that I have, because once creatures are dead, unless they're one of those enigmas or like a bulwark or something like that can actually survive, you don't want to actually give them up for dead, right? So you want to actually kind of use other creatures like immortal creatures, the bulwarks, things like that, to scout out what other creatures are and discover what they are. So when a combat happens, what happens is so if these 2 creatures fight, what will happen is that each player, starting with the person's turn, has the ability to put ability cards on there, at the cost of 2 of their fate tokens that they have. And then the defender can spend 2, you know, and they can place 2. And this, you can morph your creatures at this time as well. And so it kind of goes back and forth, and you don't reveal any of the ability cards. Now, you don't have to actually, you can pay 2 for an ability card that the thing can't use, but you do that to kind of get the other person to use up their ability cards and spend their fate as well. And so you can do that to bluff a little bit, and it's actually a really good strategy to do, actually. But after all is said and done, you will turn over each creature. I don't even know what this creature is that I picked at random. An abomination I picked. But you turn the creatures over, and you see like what they have as far as like if the abilities that if they actually match. Let's just say these 2 creatures just fought each other as it was. And so you turn them over, you'd see who would win. Obviously level 3 versus level 1. They fight. This one gets destroyed and gets taken off of the board, and this one would remain. As I said, if it is a creature that is immortal or an enigma, then you actually get to place it into your revivable stack, and you can spend money, or spend your Dragon Fate. If you get 4, you can spend that to revive that creature as well. I went over if you ever actually take over the opponents, if this guy actually made it here, that would win you the game. If you summon your artifact and deliver it via hero to the Temple of Fate, that would win you the game. There's one other thing that's actually neat about the game, is that there are creatures called progenitors, and they're actually very, very powerful creatures. And each side, you know, has a progenitor. If a progenitor and another progenitor fight, and if you have a fight where both of the players end up, you know, equaling, like both their attack level is equal. It's actually equivalent character level, I think is what they call it, or ECL. So like here's the Draylite, which is the progenitor. That's what the progenitor thing is. If this fought the evil or the dark, and they both killed each other off, you actually summon the Fate Dragon. And the Fate Dragon stays on the board and moves, whoever's turn it is, they get to control it and move it to attack and fight for them. And then it switches over to the other side. It's just a neat little thing. It actually happened once in one of our games. It was pretty amazing, actually, because this is obviously a very powerful creature. It has like level 5, it has all these different colors, so you can place all different kinds of abilities and what have you on it. And you can really strengthen those or whatever. So, that's the game, basically. I mean, like I said, the board just kind of pops. It does exactly what it's supposed to. I love the different creatures. I didn't really show you a lot of the evil ones, but I mean, like, you know, I love, like, here's obviously a Bulwar creature. You know, I love the art. I love the fantasy feel of it. I really like the Wraith. I just really dig that picture. But anyway, so there's lots of stuff going on during the game. Lots of bluffing, lots of pushing your luck, if you will. And you know, just it's a lot of fun. It's a you go I go type of conflict game, but I've been having a heck of a lot of fun with it. But let me tell you more about that in my conclusion right now. I like dice boxes. This actually, like, when I this was actually listed off as part of the components of the game. This is like the dice arena or something like that. And it actually specifies in the rules that you can't just like drop your dice in there. The dice actually have to clatter off the sides or whatever to ensure fairness or whatever. I think that's cool. I often that's the reason why people have dice towers, is because if you drop it in the top, you can't ever like just drop a die or something like that. It ensures randomness. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, as I often do. But anyway, so there you go. That's Elemancers, and how to play the game. Now, people who have watched my videos for a long time know that there's a period of time where I just did not get to play 2-player games. I just didn't have a second player to play with. I'm anxiously awaiting my daughter to get old enough to I mean, she's almost there, to play a lot more of the 2-player games that I have, because I'm looking forward to that, and also my son when he gets old enough as well. But at the present time, like, I just didn't have the ability to play a lot of 2-player games. Luckily, what happened is that both my local game store has these open gaming nights, and I go there with a lot of 2-player games, and I can usually recruit somebody to do that. But also, I've got like this like secondary bizarro gaming group that I've been playing with, and a lot of times when we get together with them, we do actually split off and like play 2-player games. 6 people, 3 people play games and stuff like that. that. So it's been a welcome addition, and I've actually been able to like play more two-player games, and I've actually kind of had a renaissance of them, if you will. I've actually kind of started to enjoy the whole one-on-one aspect. Now, this game reminds me of a lot of different games, notably with the combat and the kind of the bluffing aspect. In a weird way, it reminds me of Titan, a game that I don't play very often due to the epicness of it, but I should play more. I've got a buddy that lives about 4 hours away from me, Brian, that loves Titan. And when he shows up, he usually tries to recruit a few people to play it, and that. But the whole aspect of that, kind of like the bluffing as far as what creatures you have. That's the same thing. When you go into combat, you have your creature face down. You don't know exactly what that is. You can figure it out by like sending scouts out to attack it or whatever, like your immortals, your bulwark or whatever. But you can fly over them as well, as I said. But it's like I do like that ability of like kind of like, oh, what am I fighting with? What do I got out there? And then of course the ability cards, putting them down, forcing other people to think, what are you putting down as far as your abilities, and getting them to either spend more or give up on the spot or whatever. I like that aspect. If it was just my creature and you saw my creatures and we were running into each other, I mean, that wouldn't be much of a game. I mean, it would be tactical, if you will, but ultimately it would just come down to the dice rolls of whoever got some of the biggest creatures and who got like kind of the lucky situations, due to the fact that the combat is deterministic and the fact that you're not rolling dice and there's no random element to it. So I do like that. I like the idea of these mystery creatures moving across this like kind of abstract battle board, and I really do like the battle board a lot. I like the fact that it doesn't get cluttered up with a lot of needless information. It's just like, okay, the color is there. I know exactly what that'll do. I know exactly what I can do with that color or where I want my creatures to be to give myself the best chance to win that battle. And so I enjoy that part of it. And ultimately, the game doesn't last a long time. And there's a lot of two-player games that just drag on and on and on, and I don't have time for that. I mean, I'm sure and I wish I did. I would love to play, like, I'd love to just sequester myself in my game room with a buddy for 4 hours and not have any interruptions and be able to play something epic and grand in that scale. But ultimately, I just don't have that ability. And so I do like the fact that I can condense a game like this down to a very short, relatively short game time, around 45 minutes to an hour we've gotten it down to, and even quicker in some cases, if depending on spots on the board and just how things can turn out, and the whimsical nature of battle, if you will, or basically my friend's ability to bluff me better than I had. So if you like two-player combat conflict games, I think you're really going to like Elemancers. If you like a fantasy theme along with that, I think you're going to love it even more. And if you like the ability to kind of bluff and use subterfuge in your games, then I think this is kind of a no-brainer. But ultimately, if you're a two-player game player who likes combat-oriented games, I think this is something you definitely need to check out and like check out the webpage, check out the Kickstarter page, and see if it's something you want to add to your shelf. So there you go. That's Elemancers. Go ahead, if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and post those. I'll answer those to the best of my ability. And yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye now.